Welcome to another Sober on a Drunk Planet podcast. We're into season 6, and this is possibly episode 3 now. And joined by Vicki. I've known Vicki for a while through the group on Facebook, and been following her story. Lots of running involved, but it's the best thing for me seeing people come into the Facebook group is seeing them all progress into things that they love. And Vicki is flying the flag for people that want to take up running. So we'll get into that in a bit. But just hi, Vicki. How are you doing?
Hi, Sean. I'm really good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've been sunbathing a bit, so I'm a little bit lethargic.
I was before. It actually drained me a little bit. I came in for a nap before this because it was exhausting me.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm a proper sun junkie now.
Me
Um,
too.
Obviously, with age, I've got more careful in terms of always using suntan lotion, but I just love it.
I've always loved the sun. I'm that one that will go on holiday to literally, like, I want the sun to just get me. If I come back without a tan, I'm not happy.
Where are you based? Is it Guernsey?
Yeah, Guernsey, yeah.
Is it always sunny in Guernsey?
No, we've got weather like you. It's very
So
similar to you. We've got,
Is Guernsey south of England, or is it?
yeah, so we're
Yeah.
closer to France than we are the UK. We can see
Okay.
France. If I was to just walk across the road and look out, I've got the sea right by me, and I could see, especially at night, you can see the lights of France.
Oh wow. So do you
Yeah.
speak French?
No, but Guernsey has a local sort of language called patois, which the elderly would speak. It's very French. It's like French.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know anything. No, it's a shame. They should have taught it to us in school, but no, it's a dying. Yeah, one that I wouldn't be able to divulge or discuss. And my granddad maybe taught me a few words growing up, but other than that, no. We just, yeah.
okay. And then, how long have you been sober now?
I have been sober 1,218 days. So that's 3 years, 4 months.
Yeah, I was trying to do the maths.
Yeah.
Um, that's
I don't really
great, isn't
count
it?
days anymore, but I thought I better look at the app and see how many days I've done.
Sounds more impressive doing days anyway. Um, so how did you get to that point then? What was Vicky's life like in Guernsey before she got to that decision to get sober then?
Um, Drinking for me probably started the same as most others, a teenager. I drank, I had my first drink when I was probably about 10, when sat on my dad's lap and he passed me a Heineken and I thought, yeah, I like that. And then at, teenage years, you're getting your older brother to buy you your booze and you're excited about the weekend. And I wasn't very good at drinking then. Um, you know, Drinking to excess, smoking weed, doing all the things your mum doesn't want you to do, but you're feeling all big, and so you just carry on, don't you? Had my stomach pumped at 16. Do you remember that drink that was around? It was really quite lethal, Brody's.
Okay. No, we had stuff like 2020 and all sorts of crap that
Oh,
used to get served
Brody's
under
is
the.
a really strong cider. You can Google it. And I drank a lot of that, had my stomach pumped. I wouldn't go home sometimes. I just drank to excess because I felt like I didn't fit in. I was the big girl. I had no confidence, lack confidence massively. So, this brought me out of my shell, and my confidence, I thought, rose with it. And just continued to drink until I was pregnant at 18. So I got pregnant quite young at 18, became a mum. The drinking slowed down and almost stopped until my daughter was probably about 1 or 2, and we'd go out at weekends. She was being babysat, so it would be you'd be out on a session and you'd just think, oh my God, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, oh, I've got the baby back, and you're already at 2 o'clock in the morning dreading it, thinking this was just a bad mistake. But I still continued to drink, sometimes till sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, knowing that she was coming back at 10. And then my drinking progressively got worse when the father of my daughter left when she was 2. So I found myself on my own, going to the shop and getting a bottle of wine to start with. It was always a bottle of wine and a box of Pringles. I always needed the Pringles, but I think you've made me think about this now, because I got the Pringles because I didn't like the taste of the wine, but I
Oh,
needed the wine. Yeah. So yeah, that progressively became 2 bottles of really cheap plonk and another box of Pringles, and then 3 bottles of wine and a box of Pringles to get it down.
and just on a side note, wine's bad for you. We all know that. But Pringles had to take out the word potato chip on their packaging because there's no potato in them. They're just all manufactured crap.
Crap. Yeah. I was probably doing 3 bottles of wine and 2 boxes of Pringles at that point because I needed more Pringles to get the wine down. It's
Wow.
horrific. But it was what I could afford, and it was Blossom Hill, some kind of Zinfandel or something like that. And I just used to,
Yeah.
the daughter was asleep in her bedroom. It was late at night, and I didn't know how to, when one bottle was gone, it was like, I've got the other one. I need the other one, till the point I was sort of comatose and I could go to sleep, dealing with the pain that I was dealing by being a single mother on my own, you know?
It's funny. It's like two different worlds. I've never had children, but I would find myself downing a bottle of Zinfandel Blossom Hill
Yeah.
to try and get to sleep because
Yeah.
I've done too much coke.
God.
It's just weird when you mentioned that wine. I was like, that's when I used to go to the corner shop or whatever it was and just go in there. They were like 2 bottles of wine for £6,
Yeah.
which I guess is cheap. But then
Yeah.
they had that horrible, it was quite sweet tasting, but I swear they put additives in it because the next morning you wake up and you're like, "Ooh."
You could taste it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the packet of fags as well that went with it, you know? And I couldn't even really afford this. You know, I can remember this local shop was just down the road, just a couple of minutes walk away. And I actually got to the point I was embarrassed that I was but doing this all the time, going in, and it's like I'm not getting anything I actually need here. I'm getting wine and fags and Pringles. You know, it was getting embarrassing to the point I'd go to a different shop so I could mix it up a bit so they wouldn't see me doing it.
And that's a common trait. It's the same mentality to people. I don't know whether you have it in Guernsey, but we have to put our bottles out in certain types of bin for recycling.
We
So
do
here,
now.
everyone has a thing of, I don't want to put too many wine bottles out this week. Some will take them to the dump, and
Yeah.
then some will just wait till the next week. But they never wait till the next week. They have to go to the dump because it's always the same amount of alcohol, and they're
Yeah.
embarrassed by it.
Yeah. I was embarrassed. We didn't have to put our bottles out then, thankfully. But my drinking just got progressively worse through sort of traumas. I after he left, I think the drinking must have subsided for a few years. And then I met my ex-husband, and we lived about 30 seconds away from a pub. So for the next 15 years, it was binge drinkings because the children were getting older, and I had 2 stepchildren in the house as well. Me and my husband at the time in 2016 had lost a baby, and after that, well, after I'd lost my son, I was given antidepressants. I wasn't asked if I even wanted them. They just gave them to me, and I was in a state of trance, is the only way I can, looking back on it, I was like a walking zombie, you
Was it
know.
sertraline? Can you remember?
I cannot remember. No, this was what, 18 years ago. But I know that I was a walking zombie, and I just used to sit and stare. And I think they just gave me these antidepressants, knowing that I was going through a whole world of shit and pain. And I probably couldn't deal with it. And I had a family to look after. And I was drinking on them as well. So I'd drink on them, binge drink on them at the weekends if we got a babysitter for the kids. Me and my husband would go to the local. It would always end in a fight. I can remember him saying he wanted another child, and I threw a plate at him because I felt that he was, I felt that he was wanting to move on too quickly. But yeah, I think I was a bit of an angry drunk back. I was angry at the world. You know, I just lost this baby, and the only way that I could heal myself, I found, was through alcohol. I didn't want to feel the pain. you know,
Yeah.
I wanted to drown it out.
I think it is, as a numbing agent, it's what a lot of people turn to. But it's, I think, with the hindsight, you can look at going on antidepressants, being depressed because of things that you needed to work through and heal from, give yourself time to grieve. Um, but then alcohol is a depressant. So you chuck that into the mix, and then you're right. I think what comes out when people are drunk is that anger, but that anger's not really towards anyone. It's an internal thing that hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah,
Because I'm sure everyone who's been to a pub and you get to know the locals, it's the same people with the same anger or other things that they exude, which would be better dealt with through therapy. But
yeah.
again, that's the benefit of hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's strange how sort of 18 years ago, how, you know, us as a family weren't really offered any help after that trauma, you know?
Oh,
Uh,
nothing.
Not really, no. I think the children were, my daughter and the stepchildren were offered in school, kind of, you know, take them to one side and have a chat with them if they wanted to. But I think me and my ex-husband were just sort of left to get on with it. And I don't know whether I kind of, I mean, I seem to get through it. I thought I got through it okay, and time went on, and we did have another child, which was amazing. So yeah, I've got she's going to be 17 soon. So we did go on to have another child after, when I felt ready. Um, but I wasn't happy in my marriage. So, and we were just stuck in a rut of this drinking, you know, his drinking. He was an angry drunk. I wasn't an angry drunk, I didn't think. But he would anger me, you know, and fights would happen and what have you. And then I got divorced in 2016. That was when I started running. Running,
Okay.
it was therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so difficult leaving my ex-husband, and I went through a very long, drawn out, painful 2-year divorce. And I always remember when I was in the process of leaving him, I just wanted to be happy because I never knew who I was. He was a very controlling person. Never really knew who I was in my late 30s, mid 30s. You know, he was so controlling over everything I did. And the word happy was in my head constantly. I just wanted to be happy. And when I finally plucked up the courage to leave, I thought I'd be happy instantly. And I really,
Mm.
really wasn't. And I continued to drink, take sleeping tablets, knock myself out with sleeping tablets. Well, I can't remember what they were called. Zopiclone, is that the sleeping tablet? I think that's what it was called. And I'd neck that with 2 bottles of Old Rosy cider, really strong cider. The cider alone, I could drink and go to, I couldn't remember going to bed. But then add in, you know, this sedative, this sleeping tablet, well, I didn't remember anything at all. And I was doing that to get to sleep because of the noise in my head. And it took me a long time to get happy. In fact, it's taken me, we're what, 2014 now. I think I've only really been happy ever since I gave up the booze, which is nearly 3.5 years.
Yeah. You're crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you probably throughout that whole time never thought that that would have the impact it's had 3.5.
No, no, definitely not. You know, for me to, when I was deciding to quit the booze, it was because I was drinking every day for about 4 years. So I met my new partner after the divorce, and he likes a drink. And I had a little bit more freedom where my daughter was at my ex-husband's some nights of the week. So I had this freedom to go out, and I was really enjoying going out and being social. And I'd lost a bit of weight, so my confidence was up. And we were going out, school nights, getting home sort of 2 o'clock in the morning, got to be at work at 8, 9. So I've got this lack of sleep going on, but I was loving it. I was enjoying that life. I felt like I'm getting what I didn't have when I was 18 because I was a mum so young. I'm going out and I'm doing what everyone else seems to be doing. But it soon caught up with me, and I can remember waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror many, many times and just crying because I was just exhausted with life, just exhausted with it all. And the drink. And I used to tell myself, you've got to stop this. Especially when you'd be at work and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, all you could think about was, I cannot wait to go home to drink. And that's sad. I told myself it was sad. I should be saying, I can't wait to go home and spend time with my daughter. But I just want to go home and drink. I can't wait to go home and open a bottle of gin. Back then I was on 3 to 5 bottles of gin a week.
That's
so
not cheap.
It's not cheap. Now apparently, according to my app, I've saved about 11 grand.
I think it's always triple that, because as I said
Wow.
last week in the other podcast, that it's all the associated costs and sort of, you were at work, you're working better and everything, and life just seems to be a bit cheaper, a lot cheaper.
Oh, so you're talking about like the bad decisions you might make when you've had a drink. Like I'm going to eat that
briefly
crap.
mentioned earlier.
Hey, yeah.
The 75-inch TV.
Yeah, you go when you're pissed and you buy a 75-inch TV that costs 1,600 quid. I had no recollection of doing it until the postie said, "We've got this parcel for you." That to me was funny. I was still enjoying drinking drinking to excess back then. To me, that was a funny story. It's absolutely ridiculous.
1,600 quid for a TV. I thought it'd be cheaper than that.
Yeah, well, thankfully it wasn't sort of a 3 or 4 grand one. If the money was in the account, it would have gone. And I just the things that we do when we're half cut. I mean, some of it, yeah, a lot of it I probably don't remember, but that one is a funny one that I can look back on. But yeah, the bad decisions I would make when drinking, the bad food choices as well. I mean, I piled on a hell of a lot of weight when I was drinking every day for 4 years. As soon as I left work, I was on Breeder. Do you have Breeder over there?
Not heard of it, no.
No? Oh, okay. They call it wife beater over here.
Okay. A Stella is what we've got.
Oh, okay.
Wife beater.
Oh, right. Okay. We've got Breeder, and it's yeah. I thought I'd be like the lads and drink Breeder with the lads, and didn't really realize I couldn't handle it, so I'd be blacking out. Visions, I can look back on it now where I am trying to talk to people. I am really pissed, but it's just a black smoke screen in front of me. Not knowing how I've got home. I lived in so much shame for far too long. I went to work pissed. I went on a bender at a friend's house. It was a Christmas 4 years ago, and I necked 2 bottles of gin. And I had said to my partner, would you pick me up at 10 o'clock? And he was like, no, you stay out. And I said, no, pick me up at 10 o'clock. That way I know I'm home and I'm fresh for work in the morning. Well, he didn't come and pick me up because he'd had a drink. And I found myself walking home in the rain in tears, pissed, at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd work at 8. So I got home, I slept half an hour, got up, got showered, put my face on, acted like nothing had happened, drove to work, and I hadn't been at work 5 minutes and people saw me and told me to go home. So I had that shame. And gradually over those 4 years where I was drinking really heavily, the shame was it was excruciating. The anxiety was crippling. I'd never experienced anxiety before, I had to dissect it and realize that it was the booze that was doing it. And it wasn't until a friend herself said that January, I'm thinking of quitting. She did. And I just thought, well, if she can, I can. And, I need to lose weight. I've got a wedding coming up. I'm going to be a bridesmaid. So this will help. But I used all those excuses of I'm going to be a bridesmaid. I need to lose weight. But actually, deep down, I should have been answering my own sort of questions. You know, I need to just quit the drink to quit the drink. That's
Yeah.
the problem here. Yeah.
It's good that your friend is your friend still sober.
Yeah, my friend's still sober. Yeah.
Nice. And that's the thing. I think you were consciously becoming aware of how alcohol wasn't helping you.
Serving me.
It potentially never helped you. It doesn't help anyone. But when it's becoming detrimental to everything, and you just feel, I think the thing when I went to AA, I did AA for the first year, and they always have these quotes, and it was the first one that made me think, yeah, I'm in the right place. Was they say I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired,
Yeah.
and that for me sums it up perfectly. I just had enough bullshit, and I think it's your intuition knows that drinking that amount of alcohol and feeling like crap isn't what the body and the mind and the spirit are all designed for. So it's reaching your own tipping point.
Yeah. I think my tipping point started in that December when I went to work pissed. And I had that shame. And then I also had a dream. I had a dream that, because my children would never really see me drunk, I used to hide my drinking. And I had a dream that my daughter was really angry with me because I couldn't get her to school because I was pissed. And I woke up and I felt that shame again. So I'm feeling shame in my dream, you know. This wasn't real, but this was, you know, is this how she does feel about me? You know, you're just a pisshead, you know.
Yeah.
So I had that, and I'll never forget that dream either. I can see it now as I'm talking to you.
Fine.
Hey,
It was a sign.
it was a sign. Yeah, I spoke to myself. Not, I didn't speak to anyone about the problems or the feelings that I had or the shame that I had. I used to speak to myself and say, Vicky, why are you doing this? You don't even like the taste of it. You know,
Yeah.
why are you spending? Why does gin have to be on the shopping list? It was so important that gin had to be on the shopping list. I'd panic if it wasn't there. I'd panic if there wasn't a bottle around. I mean, I collected, and I was proud of my gin collection. You know, those Whitley Neals, the beautiful
Yeah.
colours. Yeah. So where I'm looking now, I this year have finally thrown them away. How weird that I couldn't let go of something that served me no purpose whatsoever, but I collected them, and I had little bottle lights in them, and I was proud. I used to take photos of them and put them on Facebook and say, look at my lovely Whitley Neal gin collection. And people would come round. Well, that collection grew a lot in lockdown. I had over 150 bottles of empty gin in my collection.
It's basically like if anyone walks past the house and sees the lights glowing in these bottles of gin, it's just a sign to say I have a problem with drink.
Yeah, it's
In flashing
embarrassing.
lights,
It's
literally.
embarrassing. And I know you say yourself, you know, when your Facebook memories pop up and it's
Ugh.
something to do with alcohol, it's embarrassing.
I've only just started, so I'm coming up to 7 years sober, and I've only just
Amazing.
started washing out some of the old drunken bit. But it's even the way that I used to talk. I mean, like it's a whole personality shift. Um, yeah, but Facebook's good on one hand because it reminds you of what
How
you
far
don't.
you
Yeah, exactly. Um, and talking of how far you've come, I'm trying to do tied in segues here. Um, so I think we spoke about it before, but weight and getting fit. So you said I think you mentioned it earlier about drinking being a catalyst for how you felt about yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, I've never had any confidence and I've always been a big girl. Yeah, so from day dot, I've always been the fat girl, the big girl, and I always
Which
felt,
I can relate to, by the way, because
yeah.
from day dot I've always been the fat boy,
Oh,
um, who yeah. So that's why I was bringing this segment back because these are the stories I like.
yeah, yeah. I love listening to podcasts and listening to other people's stories. And for me, if this, you know, relates or helps anyone, I've always suffered with low confidence. And I mean, even to this day, it's getting better. And I will actually do things now that I'm sober that I would never have done before. I want to go out there and achieve these things. But back then, I needed a drink just to hold a conversation with someone. I needed to drink at home before I'd go and have a meal with the family, for God's sake. You know, my confidence has just been, I never had it growing up. And then I was in awful relationships where it was battered down, or where I didn't, you know, I wasn't allowed to be myself. I didn't know who I was. I had to learn to be me for my confidence to grow. And I hated being trapped in my big body. I always felt like I didn't fit in. I was never bullied or anything for it. I always had good friends, you know. But you know, when you're a teenager and all the boys are going after your skinny, confident friends, and you're just a mate sat on the side there drinking, getting pissed, hoping someone will come and snog you. Well, they're not gonna. So
I think, yeah, with the benefit of hindsight, it's a double-edged sword because yes, you've got that narrative, but how much is that narrative, knowing what I know now, how much of that narrative that you've told yourself is just you? I know there's the societal thing about good looking people want to be with good looking people. And I guess we grow up in the whole world as that's the message.
yeah,
Because it's something I've always thought about and suffered with until I got sober, then lost weight, got fit, feel confident. I mean,
yeah,
the exercise side of things is more about how I feel internally and how I turn up and can do more work and I'm efficient at other things. It's not necessarily an ego thing saying, oh, I can wear tight shorts and look good in the gym.
yeah. No,
Um,
I get
it's
you.
yeah.
I
So
think
I guess
as a teenager, it's harder, isn't it? You know, to fit in and feel like
I would
you.
hate to have had social media as a teenager.
Oh,
I
me
hate it
too.
as an adult.
Yeah,
As a teenager, that would have just yeah
destroyed
killed me. I
you.
think.
Yeah, yeah.
So your weight loss then, when did that start during your drinking, or did it
Well,
just
yeah, I
take
mean, I'd
talk us
gone
through
up
that?
to, so like I said, big girl all my life, yo-yo diet, I've done every single diet and fad, you know, lazy girl diets, trying to pop pills, doing anything I could to be that skinny girl, you know, but there's a difference between skinny and healthy. And so just before I got sober, I went on a really strict plan, and the plan allowed no alcohol. And I just thought, I need to get into a bridesmaid's dress. Yeah, this bridesmaid's dress is beautiful. And I want to feel amazing at my best friend's wedding. I want to feel really good on the day. I don't want to feel shit the way I feel right now. My clothes were hurting. I was in pain. It was uncomfortable sitting on the sofa. It was hard to get off the sofa. And my heaviest, I was 17 stone 4, I think. So I've lost 8 stone.
Wow,
Um,
that's a lot. For any
it's a lot.
Americans, that's a lot of pounds. I can't
Yeah,
quite figure it out, but it's a lot of pounds.
8 stone. I don't know what that is in pounds. I haven't got a clue.
Let
If you'd
me
have asked me whilst I was tracking, I would have been on the ball with you, but it's
yeah,
been so long now.
let me just quickly check my phone. I don't normally do this. 8 stone in pounds. £14. Oh no, 1 stone equals £14. So that is £112. That's
112.
basically like a small human you lost.
Yeah.
Imagine having that attached to you all day, every
Oh,
day.
and this is where health comes into it, because when I was the big girl, we've got a lot of hills where we live in Guernsey, tiny island, lots of hills, and I would be blowing out of my ass and pushing a buggy, you know, trying to get up these hills and carry shopping and things, and everything was such an effort. Um, and when I started to lose the weight, that, and I wasn't drinking then either, that was when health actually came into it, where I wanted to start, like you said, I wanted to be internally healthy. So I quit sugar. I decided sugar's evil. That's what I say. Everyone laughs at me at work. Don't let sugar in, and they take the piss out of me. But sugar, when I decided to strip it from my diet and I had that awful sugar flu, which you can get at the start, I didn't want to ever go through that again. So I was aiming to reduce my sugar intake as much as I could. And then I got a bit anal about absolutely everything. But essentially, I just started eating what I wanted to eat. And because in the past, healthy food to me was bland and boring, but I've actually kind of quite liked salads and what have you along the way. I've just learned to eat exactly what I want to eat, and what I like. And I'm really lucky that I love fruit, veg, fish, salad, and things like that. And I can live on fish and salad, and rice. But it's had to change because of the running. My diet has massively had to change. I've had to incorporate so many foods that I'm scared of, carbs, you know.
No more Pringles.
Oh God, I haven't touched a Pringle in years. Years. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Yeah, I've had to change a lot with the running aspect of it. So I've had to incorporate a lot of those kind of starchy carbs that I would normally kind of stick to one side, which actually aided me in the weight loss because I was staying away from them. But yeah, 8 stone's a lot, and the confidence has grown.
I think that's one of the biggest things I noticed is that it's not an ego thing of saying, "Oh, look at me, look how good I look." It's a bit of self-love and compassion for that fat kid, where we've had to go through those whole teenage years, 20s, 30s, etc., sort of always saying to ourselves, "We're never good enough because we're fat." I
Yeah.
don't know if you can relate to that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
always the
can.
narrative that I've had
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah. And I've never wanted people to look at me. So I've got a massive fear of public speaking or speaking in meetings at work as well. Picking up the phone. I'm massively introverted. I don't know if you know the Myers-Briggs. Do you know the
I've heard of
Myers-Briggs?
it.
Oh, it's
The
worth doing. It helped me learn a lot about myself. It's really interesting. And it's nice to know that there are people out there like me, you know. Massively introverted. So I think that's another reason why I used to drink, because it really, I used to think, oh, this is the real me. This is how I should be. You know,
no,
when you're all elaborate and you're loud and you're actually a dick.
yeah,
You
you
know, that's
basically
not
just
me.
explained me in a nutshell.
Yeah, an elaborate dick.
Yeah, basically on alcohol. I can still be a bit of a dick from time to time, but I try not to be as much.
Yeah, can't we all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fascinating. I think that is one of the big benefits of giving up alcohol is weight loss, but not it's not weight loss. Like I hate talking about weight loss. Like you said earlier, skinny is not healthy.
Yeah.
I can be technically I'm over the BMI or whatever, but I'm strong. I can run, I can cycle,
Yeah. And
box.
that's a good word, eh? Strength, strong. That's what I
Yeah,
want to be, yeah? Strong.
and
And
that's everything I try and do now is to try and build resilience physically, mentally, and to some extent spiritually as well, because I think it's all sort of interconnected, and that's like sobriety is the start of that journey. And I
yeah.
think removing alcohol because it has zero benefits was the catalyst for the weight loss. Because I worked out last week, or it's in the first book, but I think I said 10,000 calories a week I was consuming with associated calories. So it's not just the 10 ciders I'd have on Friday and Saturday, but it was the hangover food. So the full
Oh
breakfast,
yeah.
like 2,500 calories, Big
Beige.
Macs,
Yeah.
and that whole
Beige.
lifestyle, being in and around pubs and people that are in and around pubs. But I could never manage to get to the gym.
Well, you
I
wouldn't
couldn't.
want to, eh?
No, it was always too hungover.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So then you get lazy, then your metabolism goes down. So then you've got this sort of catalyst for real fat growth where you're
Yeah.
adding all the calories and doing no exercise.
That was the reason I drank gin, because I was gaining weight drinking the breeder. And I was, you know, seeing my size clothes go up, feeling uncomfortable, sitting there in pain in my jeans in lockdown, I remember. And I thought, well, I'll just drink gin. There's not a lot of calories in that. You know, oh my God, 3 or 4 bottles a week. obviously with lemonade, or then I started cutting out lemonade and doing whatever the most low calorific kind of soda water or whatever I could find. I was doing that to the point in the end I may as well have just been drinking neat gin, you know.
It's funny how the mind convinces itself of everything but the alcohol
Yeah,
until it's, like we said, you reach your tipping point, uh,
yeah.
where everything
I
else has
didn't,
been stripped away, and you thought, no, maybe it is the alcohol.
yeah. But I didn't even want to walk out. I didn't want to get out of my car and walk down the street home because I live on a main road and cars are parked they'll be stuck in the traffic at the traffic lights there. And I felt so uncomfortable in my size and I was so bloated in my alcohol face. I didn't want people to look at me. So I used to sit in the car in the heat, in the sweltering heat, and think, right, there's no cars there now. And then I'd kind of get home, head down whilst I was walking. Now I'm out there pounding the pavements at silly o'clock in the morning, and I'm proud, you know?
Yeah, that's the big shift, isn't it? I think for anyone watching, I think when your narrative is negative to yourself and you are scared and fearful and anxious of being out in public, then sobriety is the catalyst to give you the time and energy to then go and exercise or get a personal trainer or get whatever you want,
Yeah.
to then change that narrative, because it really is a case of internally you feel better, like all the benefits of health are there. The mental side of things as well is probably the biggest, because mentally, if you're changing your narrative from a negative to a positive towards yourself, you're then going to lead a positive life. It's just,
Yeah.
it's,
Negativity breeds negativity, right? So positivity will breed positivity.
and that's why I don't go to pubs anymore. I mean, I've just, my
Yeah.
lifestyle's changed. So me and the missus, we're two introverts. I love it.
Oh,
Um,
I wish mine was an introvert. He's massively extroverted.
oh no, it's brilliant. Me and her are both introverted. I think sometimes it's a bit, it's, yeah, I feel like, oh, should we be going out? But then I'm like, nah, it's fine.
Why would
Uh,
you?
but again,
My fellow will say to me, do you want to go out? And instantly I get my back up and I think, no, I want to stay at home. I like being at home. But he's really extroverted. I
yeah,
actually got with him because he really lifted me in my low period, you know, and I thought, oh, he's like a sunshine yellow person, you know, he's like this happy, flamboyant person, and he's going to make me, he's going to lift me up. And he does do. He's fantastic for that. He's a clown, but he exhausts the hell out of me and everybody. I'm not the only one to say this. My Jamie could talk for England, and
yeah.
sometimes it's just a bit too much, especially when you're like me and I need peace, quiet, and solitude to recharge, or the gym, or my morning run.
So you know what? That's just clicked a light bulb for me. So I try not to bitch and moan about other people, but there's this guy who's just joined my golf club. Um, he's a nice guy, like absolutely no issues or anything, but he's like my introverted nightmare. He does not stop talking, to the point where I had to politely say to him, look, you need to stop talking to me because I can't handle this anymore. Please.
My friends that are going to listen back to this podcast, because they've all said to me today, oh, can I listen to it? And I've said, yeah, you know, I'll let you know when it's about. They'll be laughing at this because they all know my Jamie, and yeah, he's exactly the same. You have to tell them to just please just stop. You're talking for the sake of it.
Which is funny because that's exactly what I was like when I was drinking and drugging. Like
Just
I
talk
was
shit.
the extrovert on steroids then.
Yeah.
And
I bet
that
you
just,
felt amazing. I bet you thought, yeah, this is who I should be, you know.
yeah, I guess at the time that's what you think.
Yeah.
But now I embrace the fact that I've never been good in groups. I
Me
think that
too.
might be partly down to the fact that I've always been fat and scared in my childhood, but then I
You
was
didn't want
bullied
your
as a,
voice heard, would you be in the group, the
yeah,
quiet one?
yeah. So, but with age, I've realised actually being quiet and not having an opinion about most things is actually quite powerful, because it means I can focus on the things that I need to do, and I'm only proving myself to myself,
Yeah.
which is powerful as well. So I think there's bits of extroverted personalities which are good. Like I've got to be extroverted in some of the things I do, like talking on podcasts. I
Yeah.
don't do public speaking,
No.
I could do, but I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy getting up and telling people stuff.
It's
I
my
enjoy the
biggest
podcast.
fear. Yeah, this is cool. This is
Yeah,
nice. Standing up in front of, I work in tax. It's very dull. Okay.
I worked in
So,
pensions. That was really
oh
fucking dull.
God. I don't know what's worse. But I'm often asked to do team meetings over the Teams platform, hold partner visits and talk to partners about tax. I really get my back up about it, but apparently I do it really well. So they always ask me to do it, but they don't understand. I'm so introverted. It takes me half an hour to plan a phone call, for God's sake. Or sometimes even a day. I've got to plan it all, make sure I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to stand there and waffle about something I've got really no interest in. Hence why I'm trying to possibly branch out and find
Yeah.
myself a decent career. Yeah.
Um,
Crunching numbers just is not fun.
which we'll get onto the new career, but the irony of you saying Guernsey and
You've
tax
gone.
the
Oh,
same in the same breath. Do you pay tax in Guernsey?
yeah, and what we do, yeah, of course we do. We pay our taxes on what we've earned. We don't pay VAT. So if I was to purchase something in the UK, I could get the VAT knocked off. But I don't work I work in corporation tax. So I work for a large spectacle company.
Who doesn't want to
And
pay tax?
the head office is in Guernsey, and it was incorporated in Guernsey. And so I basically just do the tax returns for a lot of spectacle stores out there. That's
Okay.
it, really. I love my team and I love aspects of my job, but it's not a career. I failed maths. I got an E, or it might have been a U for ungraded. Numbers isn't my thing. And I don't want to wake up every day and go to do a job that I really don't enjoy. I love the people, but that's not what excites me.
Yeah, I'm the same because I was rubbish at maths. I almost failed it. I had a whole summer of tuition to get my GCSE. Then I went and did finance, accounting, and management at uni. I then went into finance, working for a bank, and then became a financial advisor,
Wow.
and then did pensions consultancy, more numbers, and investment consultancy. And I just got to a point after I qualified in like the 15th thing that I've done. I just went, I fucking hate numbers.
You
There's not
so
one part of me that likes numbers. I've been in this job for 13
yeah.
years and I hate every day.
You
Like
know,
it's so boring.
I'm looking at a book that I was given from my boss at work, and it's called Basic Maths for Dummies. Now, that's because he gave that to me as a secret Santa gift last year. And that's because I said, I'm so confident I'm going to go and do my maths GCSE just to help myself because I've got a fear of maths. Literally, my palms will go all sweaty. Someone shout, I don't know my percentages. I work in tax, for God's sake, but I am rubbish. And so I've decided I'm going to go and get my maths GCSE. For me,
Yeah,
something that, something else I can achieve because, the world's my oyster. I want to go out there and smash everything.
yeah,
And
it's the thing.
sobriety's done this for me. I want to go and achieve anything that I bloody well want to achieve.
And that's a good point because well, one of the things that I go by is fear is where the growth is. So your fear
Yeah,
of maths has prompted you to take your GCSE.
yeah,
Now, I have no inclination of going near numbers ever again, but I kept going through the fear until 13 years later I decided I didn't want to do it again. But
yeah.
it is similar, like I can relate. So I'm trying to do the golf professional thing. I play
Mhm.
golf today and I just want to cry. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
it's that bad, but you get a lot of perspective. My energy for wanting to do this and is 10,000 times higher than going to work, doing numbers, doing a job, being told what to do. Because I still
Yeah,
do the publishing and that sort of funds the golf. So I'm very grateful. And that's the thing. Sobriety has allowed me to change what I do for day to day to suit my strengths. So being
yeah,
introverted,
yeah,
um, I'm doing all the bits I can do to help people whilst not scaring the shit out of myself.
yeah.
And that's the thing as well, understanding with sobriety and age, you don't have to do everything. I mean, you don't have to be, you do what you feel comfortable with and things that will push you. But again,
Yeah,
like being a people pleaser used to be a toxic trait of a fat kid that was always scared of being bullied because
yeah,
I was always scared of pissing anyone off. So I'd
yeah.
always be everyone's best mate.
I've always been a people pleaser as well, and sobriety's actually taught me because I've slowed down so much, albeit I'm doing more. Um, when I say slow down, I'm not a yes girl anymore. You know, I don't want to. If someone says to me, "Do you want to go out and do this?" If I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. Whereas beforehand, I would say yes, even though I didn't want to go, and then I'd have that anxiety that I had to lie or come up with something. Now I just go, do you know what? No, I don't want to. And the
You
fat
save
girl
yourself a
would
double
never have
headache.
done that. Eh?
You save yourself a double headache by
Oh, for
saying that
sure.
as well.
For sure. It's a much quieter, happier life. Um, yeah. I'm so pleased. It's the best gift. I say it's the best gift I ever gave myself, sobriety. And it's
Yeah,
mine. Yeah.
exactly. I don't know how much you want to talk about it on this, but we did mention it earlier about going for another job.
Yeah, I would absolutely love. And uh, I've got this fascination, and I think a lot of women out there watch a lot of these crime documentaries and what have you. But um, I would say about 15 years ago, I actually thought I would love to be either in the police force or customs or something away from numbers. Yeah. And something has happened recently where it's really excited me that I could have the opportunity to work within the prison system over here. And it's really exciting. And it's really got me buzzing to branch out and actually go and do something that I can wake up and be really excited about, you know?
And that
So
and that and that's the gift of sobriety, isn't it? You've got that um you
drive. I've got this
drive.
drive to just want to
Yeah.
go and do what I want to do. Maybe I feel like I'm wasting my time working where I do, crunching numbers, because if my boss was to listen to this, he would know, it's not my forte. I don't have many strengths that lie in the world that I'm working in. And if I were to use my strengths, it would be helping people. And I've done that in the past as well. I worked as a carer in the community, helping the elderly. And I miss that. But I'd love to go and work within the prison system and help people with rehabilitation and what have you. And I've had a few conversations and it's really exciting.
Good. Well, fingers crossed you can get out of the spectacle tax business, which does sound boring.
Yeah,
Um,
very.
that's the thing. I wondered why I did so many drugs and drank so much. If you work in pensions, you probably understand why.
Yeah.
But it's not me like belittling people that are in those industries because it does suit people. All people are different, and those types of jobs will suit people. But I think I was always fighting with myself without knowing it that it just wasn't the right job for me. But I felt a certain pressure to stay in it.
Yeah.
But now we are where we are.
Well,
Life's
I
good.
think that maybe it's a confidence thing as well, because I've kind of sat for 10 years where I am because I'm so comfortable with, I
Which
can
is
do my
dangerous.
job. I can do my job and I'm really comfortable with my team. I mean, I spend most of my time with them. I'm there sort of 9 to 5, 8 to 4. Um, but it's not exciting and I'm not fulfilling anything. I'm helping the partners out there, but I really want to do something for me and I want to give back and I want to be able to help someone in need. And the doors open once you're in this line of work that I hope to get into. The doors open all around for other areas as well.
Yeah. And
So
that's the thing, like speaking from experience, helping people
yeah,
is gives me the most energy. Like I genuinely love what I do. And I'm very
yeah,
grateful the books did as well as they did to create the community. And then that's how we met.
Yeah.
And that's the power from all that. Like I've met so many brilliant people and doing the podcasts.
Sobriety
Yeah,
opens so many doors, doesn't it, to wonderful people, wonderful stories. Your book was the first I read. I remember reading it on a train when I was in London, and I didn't want the train journey to be so quick because I just couldn't stop reading your book. And I actually took it with me to the Philippines this year. We were in the Philippines, and I thought that I could maybe help someone by leaving it either in the pocket of the plane or leaving
yeah.
it, but I couldn't part with it. How selfish of me.
It's funny, like the missus always says, "Oh, why don't you take some books when we go away and just leave them at like various hotels or Airbnbs that we go to?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh."
why not?
I don't. Yeah, I guess most people do. But it's great, isn't it? Like I wrote that book, I took a risk. It didn't feel like a risk, but sobriety allowed me the confidence to write a
Yeah.
book.
Hmm.
And to be honest, because I was working as a personal trainer, I wasn't bothered whether the book did well or not. It was just nice to get my thoughts out there because there weren't
Yeah.
that many 30-year-old men writing about sobriety at the time.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it just panned out and get to do this for a day to day. Like,
Yeah.
brilliant. And hopefully you get the job, you can help people, and then you'll see the flip side of how much better life can be when you're motivated day to day. Like for
Yeah.
me, I enjoy Monday to Sunday equally. Whereas
Oh,
before, I
I
had
love that.
Sundays were ruined mainly because I used to be hungover. But even
Yeah.
when I got sober, I still feared Monday in the
Yeah,
corporate world
I
because it
still
just,
do. I still do. I always say it gets to 3 o'clock on Sunday and it starts dawning that you've got work on Monday, right?
yeah,
And that's such a waste, isn't it? You know? So now I'll kind of maybe just pop off to the gym or something, or just do something to fill those hours, um, so that I'm not dreading work, you know?
yeah. It's funny. We said before we came on, the missus is a property work
Yeah.
by trade, but even she's applied for police detective roles. We watched a lot of crime documentaries,
Oh, yeah.
um, and that's the sort of thing that would give her, like she went for a run,
Yeah.
which took me by surprise because I always bang on about how good exercise is, but it's different when you live with someone in the house. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I just come across a bit annoying. But the fact that she's done that off her own back just
Yeah.
shows, like, even the change of career sort of shifts all your routines to be more positive as well.
Preparing yourself for something like that, yeah. So I was exactly the same. I thought, if I really want this role, I'm going to have to be really strong. Yes, and as you know, I'm running a half marathon soon, so I'm in my training block, and
Yeah,
I'm feeling strong, and I'm seeing those numbers, which I hate. I mean, the times and my paces are just improving over the last 6 weeks, but runs are becoming so much easier. And yeah, I do feel stronger. And joining the gym, part and parcel of that was to gain some strength going into this marathon really strong so I can enjoy it. But also because I have the fear of the bleep test. And if I've got
yeah,
to do this bleep test, I need to be strong.
yeah. It's a lot harder than it because I had a client. She was trying to get into police, and I had to find out what level they had to do on the bleep test. And she'd never done any exercise, so for her it was quite difficult. Um, but yeah, you should
Oh,
be
that's hard.
with all the running you've done. So just quickly before we wrap up, I think
Hopefully.
it's good for anyone listening. How did you get into running?
So when I was going through the divorce, I had a challenge at work, which was just a step challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm quite competitive and I wanted to win. So I got a hold of a secondhand treadmill, put it in my conservatory. At this point, I was still living with my ex-husband, and I just used to get on the treadmill and walk. And then I thought, oh, I can go a bit faster, and I started running. This treadmill died on me one morning, so I kicked it, and I was in a right foul mood. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to go and run outside. And panic set in, and I just thought, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to go and run outside. So that was when my love of running started. And then through the divorce, I was running a little bit, not as much as I could have done, but it was therapy. It was like I would turn to the drink to kind of numb things or what have you, or to switch the noise off. It's like with cold water swimming, so I do that as well. All the noise in my head will just quieten for that amount of time.
And that's a healthy way to regulate your emotions.
Exercise is amazing, isn't it? It's just, I don't know where I'd be without exercise. In fact, I was interviewed for TV a few months ago because I've got this really rare condition, which actually means if I eat gluten and exercise, I'll have anaphylactic attack.
I remember you saying now, which is so random.
It's so bizarre. So even the doctor was like, "Oh, this is really, really rare, really rare." So they interviewed me for the news, which was really, my anxiety was through the roof with that. Yes, I've got some confidence, but God, I'm going to be on the news. And so the diagnosis is if I eat gluten and I exercise in a 6-hour period after the gluten, I will have anaphylaxis, and I come out in hives, and then my eyes swell, I choke, I can't breathe, I end up jabbing myself, and I've got to go to A&E. So this whole exercise thing, which I love, at this point is now being stripped away from me, because whilst I wasn't being diagnosed, it was happening when I was running, after a run, it was happening after a swim. So they said, oh, it could be cold water urticaria that's causing this, so don't swim. And I said, you can't tell me not to swim. It's my life. In cold water swimming for me in the winter, living on a tiny little island with not a lot to do, it makes my winters. And you know, I've got sea all around me. I live on a beautiful island. There's so many beaches to choose from. I cold water swim. You can't tell me not to. So I went against the doctors, what they said, and I continued. And then I had another attack, but I still continued. And then they finally realised what my diagnosis was after I ate a burger and I went for a walk. Just a short walk, because I'd eaten the burger and I felt really bad and I felt bloated and I'd had bread, and thought I'll go for a nice little walk, and I ended up having another attack. So finally I was diagnosed back in January, February with a condition called WDEIA, wheat dependent induced anaphylaxis.
Oh, so you're not the first person this has happened to.
Oh God, no, I'm not the first person, but it is. I think I'm the only one in Guernsey, and I know that there's one lady in Jersey, the island, our sister island. And I mean, I've been on Instagram. There are people out there with it. Yeah, it's just really, really rare. And how strange that I finally find my love of exercise, yet something out there is deemed to stop it, like eating a bloody burger or a croissant. I had a croissant when I was newly diagnosed, and I forgot about the diagnosis, and I went to a cafe, had a croissant, walked to my car about 40 yards away, if that, and then I had an attack in the car. So it's that. Yeah, that was just walking. So
you could have a croissant and sit and you'd be all right.
Yes, I can have a croissant and I can sit still for 6 hours and I will be fine.
But it's got to be 6 hours. So it's got to digest.
So who wants to eat a croissant and sit on their ass?
For 6 hours.
Not me.
So just in case anyone's watching this thinking, oh, that's happened to me. Well, how do you manage that then? Do you just gluten free now?
Yeah, so it's hard to manage at first. So obviously you've just got to be aware of what you're eating. Now, coming from being a bread addict, which I was when I was a big girl, 17 stone, I could eat a loaf of bread, no problem. I just had to learn what to eat and what not to eat. So I was given the choice, really. Learn to eat like a celiac. When you go in restaurants, don't tell them that you've got WDEIA. They won't have a clue what it is. Just tell them you're gluten-free. But it's really difficult, because being a foodie all my life and being a big girl, I was probably a bit of a food addict as well, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
you as well.
To be honest, so when I went to rehab, I did loads of therapy, and my addiction started comfort eating from the childhood bullying and being fat. It's a it's a shame cycle which you just get
Yeah.
fatter.
Yeah.
So yeah, food was definitely my first addiction.
I think food is still an addiction for me, but I just choose to eat better options. But having WDEIA is a pain in the ass because I love my exercise, but you've got to go gluten free, you know, because you can't keep still, can you? When I
No,
was interviewed for the TV, they said to me, you know, how would you describe a life without exercise? And it's like being in jail. You know, we are all freely given the gift of exercise. As a human being, we're given it free. Yet you're stripping that away from me, something that, you know, makes me feel so alive and amazing, healthy. It's great for my mental health. Yet this awful condition is stripping me of having that. So, you know, you become a prisoner in your own body. It's so unfair. So I've really got to be careful with what I eat because I'm always out there exercising, you know. I might get a couple of rest days a week, but on those rest days, I'm still stretching. I'm still moving my body. So it's a horrible condition to have.
is and that came on when you
Absolutely.
haven't always had it, have you?
So I had the first episode was about when I first started running. I was running with a work colleague, and when it happened, he'd stopped off for a toilet break, and I noticed that I was itchy. So I lifted my leggings, and I could see I had this rash, and I just thought, oh, it must be the washing powder or something like that. Well, I'd run 5K to where we were, and I then had to run 5K back, but my eyes were swollen and I couldn't see. So yeah, so we had to make a phone call so that I could get picked up, and then I was taken to hospital, and they said that it was cow parsley reaction. Stay away from cow parsley, you will be fine. So for all of those years, I stayed away from cow parsley, didn't exercise because that fell out the window. I just didn't exercise at all. Um, and then this all came about in the last 2.5 years. Started with a swim, cold water swim after eating a burger. That was the first time. The second time I was we were on Herm, a little island close to us. So I'd eaten a burger, gone for a swim. It happened again. Third time, I was running on the airport runway. We do a runway run, and it's a
I'll say that again,
5K.
a runway run.
A runway run, yeah, the
Wow.
airport runway run. So it's at 11 o'clock at night, and you run on the runway. And it happened after that, and my daughter had been watching from where the spectators were, and I could feel it as soon as I stopped. So it's when I stop the exercise, that's when it will happen. So the eyes will swell, my throat will close. I've got a horrific itchy rash, and I
Well,
got
so
to
in theory, you could eat a croissant and go for a 6 hour run.
Jesus Christ, who wants to do
You'd
that?
be like Forrest
Yeah.
Gump. That's for your probably triathlon training or something. I don't know. Whatever's next,
Oh, eat a croissant, do a marathon.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so it does seem to be when the exercise stops, because I'll get out the sea, take the cap off, and the first time it happened after the sea, I said to my cousin, my cap feels like it's given me a facelift. But I'd taken the cap off and I didn't realize I looked like I'd had Botox. It was but a really bad bout of Botox.
Okay.
It was horrific. And then I was choking, and I'm just thankful that she was with me, because if I'd been alone, I probably would have died on the side there. They said, you know, it was a pretty bad reaction. No EpiPen, because I'd never had one of those reactions before.
No.
So now I've got to carry an EpiPen. And I don't go to many restaurants, so when it comes to eating out, if I do go to a restaurant, I ask for the gluten-free option, and I get angry because I can't have certain things. But
Yeah.
so be it. I'd rather that than the last thing I want right now is a reaction, because a reaction puts me out for 10 days. Anaphylaxis is horrific. The after effects of anaphylaxis. Have you ever had it yourself?
No. No. I've seen someone go through it, and I've had to do the EpiPen, and
Yeah.
that was traumatic enough, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not nice. And actually it people probably don't know unless they go through it, but without you realizing, you lose your confidence again. So I find after an attack, I don't want to go outdoors
Yeah.
because it happened in the outdoors. I've had hypothermia before. That happened in the outdoors, and I found myself reclusing, staying in. Maybe it's your body's natural way of protecting itself. I don't know, but yeah, the last thing I want is an attack right now. I'm in my training block, so I'm
Yeah.
super excited about this half marathon. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get there.
It's brilliant. You're so excited. Unfortunately, I can't get that excited about running. I've
No,
never been able to. I can do Thai boxing, I can do cycling, I can play golf 24/7. But running's just something I've never, yeah, just for me, it's not
every
worked. But I know for
everybody's
so
got
many,
everybody's got their bliss, yeah. So
exactly.
yeah,
And that's a good thing. Sobriety's allowed you to,
find my
um,
bliss.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, Right, that's brilliant. Like we've talked about so many different things. I'm going to find it hard to put it all on the promo of what we've spoken about. But it's been great to have you on because I've followed you ever since you come on to the group. Um, and it's great just to see living life and running, enjoying it, doing your half marathon. When's the half marathon?
So 6 weeks today. So the
Wow.
Sunday, the 8th of September in Newcastle. It's the biggest half marathon in the world. I didn't
In
know that.
Newcastle.
It's in
Wow.
Newcastle. Yeah, it's the Great North Run, eh? Come on, you must have heard of it.
Oh, I know what the Great North Run is.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
in Newcastle, right? I am right.
I think it
Yeah.
is, yeah. It's
Newcastle
just,
to South Shields.
oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah. Well, hopefully the weather's not blistering hot.
Last year it was blistering hot and then it ended in a whitewash. It was horrific. There was the
No.
amount of rain they had at the end. So yeah, I'm just hoping light winds, nice
Yeah.
breezy day would be nice, but nothing too much. Um
You're going to
it's
try and
it's
go
not
for a
it,
personal best when you
well,
do it?
I've never done a half marathon, so I don't know what my personal best would be. But so many people say it's not finish line, it's not finish times, it's finish lines. Get over that finish line. I don't care what the time is. I've kind of said initially I said I'd like to do it in 3 hours. But I think I can probably do it in 2:40. But this morning my watch told me I could do it in 2:30 at the pace
Ooh,
I was running this morning. So
yeah,
we'll see. I'll be happy
nice.
with that. Yeah, I
Brilliant.
can't wait.
Well, best of luck with that. And yeah, thanks very much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really cool.
Cheers. Take care.